HIPPA Training, which is Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, using and securing protected health information, or PHI.
last page here.
I've never been to jail early.
This training will provide current information on the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act of 1996, operating policies with an emphasis on using and releasing protected health information in your job. HIPAA, implemented in 2003, established a national standard for protecting the confidentiality and privacy of an individual's health information and prohibits unauthorized release of such information. HIPAA extends the confidentiality and privacy protections to protected health information, or PHI. PHI is defined as individually identifiable health information maintained or transmitted by a covered entity that identifies the individual or includes information from which an individual could be identified. Health information is information that relates to past, present, or future physical or mental health conditions of an individual, provision of health care to an individual, or past, present, or future payment for provision of health care to an individual. HIPAA and agency policies require employees to be responsible for protecting the privacy and confidentiality of each person's PHI and records, assure that an individual's PHI is only released to authorized individuals or agencies, access and use an individual's health records only as required to perform their job duties and limited to the minimum necessary to complete their job duties, receive HIPAA training and ongoing training as directed, and sign a confidentiality agreement. HIPAA prohibits an unauthorized release of PHI and requires employees to not discuss confidential or personal health information in a manner or place where the discussion could easily be overheard, removed from public view, such as on your desk or placed in your desk or file, records and files containing PHI when an employee leaves his or her workstation, secure against unauthorized access at any location, including an employee's home, all documents and equipment, such as laptops, smartphones, etc., that may contain health information. Use PHI only as necessary in the job. True or false? Is it okay to leave information containing PHI on your desk when you leave for a break or lunch, but must secure it overnight?
False.
That is false. You must remove any information containing PHI from public view when you leave your work.
That's not a question here, right?
We'll go that distance.
Okay.
She's just reading it.
Oh, so
So
that's not my
have to
question.
have some security in place here, such as like our firewalls, our encrypted emails, user authentication, our unique user IDs, passwords that we have to use, change periodically. All that is help to protect our client information. Other things that like Shauna does to protect information is wiping software when changing iPads and things like that. Any outgoing information that we send via email must be encrypted.
We can't hear you, Andrea.
Sorry. All outgoing emails that have client information must be in our encrypted emails. Yeah, I don't want to eat it. Okay. If for some reason you don't do that and information gets leaked, that's called a breach. A breach is defined as an unauthorized acquisition, access, use, or disclosure of unsecured PHI that compromises the privacy or security of such information. The new definition, that was As of September 2009, the HITECH Act modified HIPAA to require that individuals be notified of any breach of their PHI. The new definition of breach applies to both paper and electronic records, but the primary concern behind the law is for electronic records. For instance, one of the more common breaches is when a laptop, computer, or other mobile storage device is lost or stolen. If the PHI on this device is not encrypted, then a breach is deemed to have occurred. If the PHI is encrypted, it is considered secure and not deemed to be a breach. So what happens when a breach occurs? Given the exceptions to the definition of a breach and the possibility of PHI being encrypted, if you have reason to be concerned that PHI has been breached, notify your supervisor promptly. If you become aware of a possible breach of an agency's electronic security system, you are responsible for reporting the incident to your supervisor, creating an online help desk ticket, and then notifying the Chief Information Security Officer. Anybody know who that is?
You.
Okay. If necessary, we will implement an incident response. True or false? If a breach has occurred, the affected individual must be notified of any breach of their PHI.
True.
True. If you have reason to believe the PHI may have been breached, you must notify your supervisor immediately to ensure appropriate action is taken. So, some of the penalties that can occur if someone breaches or if a breach occurs. The civil penalties imposed on the state are based on each record is closed. So there's a Tier A and a Tier B penalty. The Tier A penalty is imposed when the offender did not know and by exercising reasonable diligence would not have known. That can be anywhere from $100 for each violation up to a maximum of $25,000. Tier B penalty is imposed if the violation was due to reasonable cause and not willful neglect. That can be $1,000 for each violation up to a maximum of $100,000. For most serious violations, the penalty is $50,000 per violation up to $1.5 million for each incident. So very important. Guys. A lot of money. And also, employees who fail to comply with HIPAA are subject to disciplinary action up to and including termination. Also, Section 1177 of the HIPAA law establishes criminal penalties if a person knowingly violates the law. Those penalties can be anywhere from $50,000 fine, 1 year in jail, all the way up to $250,000 and sentenced to 10 years in jail. Serious stuff. So in summary, federal law prohibits that PHI is confidential information and state employees must protect this information from unauthorized releases. Employees are allowed to access the minimum necessary data in performing their jobs. New federal law has defined a breach of PHI as an unauthorized acquisition, access, use, or disclosure of their unsecured PHI that compromises that privacy or security of such information. All employees are required to promptly report suspected breaches, and potential penalties for carelessness, negligent, and intentional disclosures have been dramatically increased. Can anybody give some examples of how we can ensure that our consumers' PHI is secure?
Files don't leave the area, or you know what I mean, stays with the person.
You guys do this every day.
I know you know it.
Password, lock
Come on,
doors.
TCM. Password protected, yes. You know, I walk around here every quarter and make sure everybody's HIPAA compliant. What are some of the things that I find?
You left something on your desk.
It's
Yeah,
got
just
to
show me
That's
so
not
many
turned
things
over.
over on your desk, yes. So
Your
I can't-
computer screen still has information up on it.
Locking
You
your
still have it.
computer when you leave your workstation. Locking your doors when you leave your workstation. What about the printer?
Picking stuff up right away.
Yeah, making sure stuff's off the printer. All right, we'll go over the test together. HIPAA is an acronym standing for what?
C.
C, Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. 2, health information is information that relates to which of the following?
D.
All of the above.
All the above.
D, all of the above. Provision of health care to an individual, past, present, or future payment for provision of health care, past, present, or future physical or mental health conditions. Number 3, which of the following is the most secure, safe password to utilize in maintaining protected health information?
C.
Who should be contacted if a believed or validated breach of HIPAA has occurred?
D.
D. Supervisor's triage. Blank is described as an unauthorized acquisition, access, use, or disclosure of unsecured PHI that compromises the privacy or security of such information. A responsible, this is true or false, a responsible party for a HIPAA violation can be held monetarily and or criminally liable for the breach. True. Computer passwords and shredding of documentation are 2 ways of protecting from breach of HIPAA. True. If a breach of protected health information occurs, it is not required to notify the person victim of the breach. False. HIPAA violations can only occur on a computer system that remains unlocked. False. HIPAA's purpose is to establish a national standard for protecting the confidentiality and privacy of an individual's health information and prohibits unauthorized release of such information.
True.
Many big words all there.